When you let go, do you not find stillness? The minister was a star, not just in the royal court, but across the kingdom. His sharp mind, eloquence, and charm had earned him admiration from all corners. His name was spoken in markets, in taverns, and in homes. Wherever he went, people turned to look, whispering his name with reverence. One evening, a grand banquet was held in his honor. The palace hall glittered with opulence, golden chandeliers casting warm light over the assembled guests. The king stood to toast him, raising a golden goblet high. To the one whose brilliance lights our path, none is as deserving of fame and praise as this man. Applause erupted, and the minister bowed slightly, his face composed, but inside his heart raced with pride. He glanced at the other ministers, their forced smiles betraying envy, and thought, I have surpassed them all. My name will be remembered forever. Yet later that night, as the banquet's echoes faded, a shadow of unease crept into his mind. Alone in his chamber, he held the goblet in his hands, its cold surface reflecting the flickering candlelight. What if they stop saying my name? The thought tightened his chest. What if the applause fades? In the following weeks, his fame began to waver. At a court session, he proposed a bold reform, expecting his usual accolades. But this time, his words were met with silence. Another minister, younger and equally ambitious, stepped forward with a counter-proposal. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the court. The king nodded thoughtfully and said, "Perhaps we should consider fresh ideas." The minister felt the floor shift beneath him. That evening, as he walked through the market, he noticed something unsettling. The usual whispers of admiration were replaced with indifferent glances. He overheard snippets of conversation. "They say the new minister has fresh ideas," one merchant said. "Maybe it's time for a change," another added. His heart sank. The very crowd that had once celebrated him now seemed indifferent. He returned to his chamber, shutting the door behind him. The goblet on his desk, once a symbol of triumph, now mocked him with its silence. He clenched his fists, his breath quickening. "They've forgotten me already." The turning point came when he was excluded from a celebration, a feast to honor the reforms spearheaded by his rival. Standing outside the palace gates, he saw the lights and heard the laughter echoing from within. His name, once spoken with awe, was now absent from their lips. In a fit of rage, he stormed back to his chamber. He grabbed the golden goblet and hurled it across the room. It struck the wall with a resounding clang, dented and dull. He collapsed onto the floor, his hands covering his face. Tears welled up, not from anger, but from despair. Who am I without them? Without their cheers, do I even exist? The next morning, weary and hollow, the minister wandered into the palace gardens. There, among the fallen leaves, he noticed an elderly sweeper moving rhythmically with his broom. The old man's clothes were simple, his posture steady and calm. He swept the leaves into neat piles, only for the wind to scatter them again. Yet he showed no frustration, no sign of annoyance. The minister approached, his voice sharp with bitterness. "Why do you do this every day? The wind undoes your work. Doesn't it bother you?" The sweeper paused, leaning on his broom. He smiled faintly. "Bother me? No. The leaves fall and I sweep. The wind scatters and I sweep again. It's neither trouble nor joy. It simply is." The minister frowned. "You don't care how pointless it is?" Don't you ever feel ashamed? Don't you ever want something more? The sweeper's smile deepened. When I was younger, I did. I wanted the world to notice me, to know my name. But fame is like these leaves always moving, never still. Chase it, and you'll never find peace. The minister's voice cracked. But I was someone. I mattered. And now they don't even say my name. The sweeper's gaze softened. You are holding on to the wind, hoping it will stay in your grasp. But let it go, and you'll see it was never meant to be held. True peace doesn't come from their applause or their silence. It comes from letting go. The minister returned to his chamber, the sweeper's words lingering in his mind. Days turned into weeks as he wrestled with his thoughts. Slowly, he began to change. He stopped looking for validation in the eyes of others. The applause, once his lifeblood, no longer consumed him. He placed the golden goblet in a corner, letting it gather dust. Instead of seeking recognition, he spent his time walking through the market, listening to the people's concerns. He planted a tree in his courtyard, finding solace in watching it grow, its branches spreading steadily, silently. Years later, having left the court behind, the minister returned to the palace gardens. There, as always, was the sweeper, his broom moving gently across the stones. The minister approached, his steps light, his face serene. I understand now, he said, bowing deeply. Fame is like the wind, and I spent my life chasing it. Now I've let it go. The sweeper nodded, his smile as calm as ever. And now you are free. As the minister walked away, the leaves scattered once more in the wind, the garden bathed in golden light. The applause and whispers of the world faded, but within him there was peace. Fame, like the wind, is fleeting. It cannot be held or controlled. To chase it is to invite exhaustion. To let it go is to find freedom. Are you still chasing the wind, or have you learned to release it? Perhaps it's time to stop running and start living.